It's understood there are at least or around 137 hostages still being held in Gaza. During the 6-day ceasefire last week, 78 were released as part of a deal between Israel and Hamas, along with another 23 foreign nationals in separate talks with other governments and Hamas. In exchange, 180 Palestinians were freed from jail in Israel. Today, some of the families of those still missing are due to meet with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after demanding talks with him, saying he dodged their requests for days. Our correspondent Iris Makler has the latest from Jerusalem.
Whose loved ones are still being held, and there's been no explanation given to them personally, which is what they want from the War Cabinet, about what the government's policy is in order to release them. Let's not forget that any advance in respect of the hostages has only come about as a result of pressure, and huge emotional pressure, I have to say, from the families of the hostages themselves. So they've gone out on a limb for this meeting as well. And I think their anguish and their motivation is also sharpened by the stories that are coming out from the released hostages. We heard someone giving evidence to the parliament within the last 24 hours, and she said her mother had come out of being held hostage and had stories of being shackled, not having food, not having water, seeing other people beaten. She said, I can't actually bear to hear my mother's stories. I have to bring in a psychologist to do it. I'm not strong enough to imagine my mother in this condition. So there are stories that are public and there are stories that aren't public in Israel at any rate. We have heard an official in Washington suggesting that Hamas is no longer prepared to release women and children. That's, after all, what this ceasefire truce deal founded on. That they're no longer prepared to release women and children, perhaps because of the stories that will emerge about mistreatment of women. That's something that's not being reported in Israel, at least not publicly, but we did hear it from Washington yesterday. So I think all of these things together make the families even more nervous than they already are, very fearful for the condition of their loved ones, and that's why they've sought this meeting, although I don't know, having heard the cabinet, the war cabinet that they're meeting with, I don't know that they're going to get much in the way of a change of policy at this moment.